We're going to do that, and we're going to do 3 sets. Where's my meetings? Okay. Let's get to it. So take a minute to check your body position before we start. All right. 7, 8. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To the side. Make sure we're breathing. 7, 8. Extend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Draw a circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, little breather. We're not going to switch sides in between. We're just going to keep going. Same leg 3 times. So that we're really, really burning up those muscles. So take a second and let's go through that again. Ready? Check your position. 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. That's 8. Pulse. That is 8 to the side. 6, 7, 8. Extend. 1. Circle. Sit back. All right, we have one more time on that leg, and then we're going to switch sides. Ready? Check your position. 7, 8. 5, 6. That's 8. Pulse. 5, 6, 7, 8. Side. 1. Hopefully you're starting to get on fire. That's 8. Extend. 8. Extend. 1, 2. Woo! That's our left side, or your right, whatever you started with. Totally fine. Switch on over to the other side, okay? So same thing, you want to check that position. Think about stacking your limbs as well as tucking your belly button into your spine. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 5, 8. Pulse. 2. To the side. Extend. 6. Circle. 'Whew. All right, we're gonna go again, same side. We have 2 more sets of that on our side, and then we're on to our next exercise, okay? Ready? 5. Really grinding it out. 7, 8. Extend. 5, 6. Pulse. Side. Finish that off. 7, 8. One more time, ready? Hopefully it's starting to burn already. 5, 6, 7, 8. Extend. Woo! Stretch it back. Awesome job. Okay, grab some water. We're gonna move on, okay? I don't know why I put my water right here. Okay, so for this next one, I'm going to go ahead and use a resistance band, but again, it's totally optional. So that is your call. Okay. So this next exercise is again going to be an isolator. So we really want to isolate those glute muscles and burn them out before we even stand up and get into it. We are going to go through a sequence of glute bridges. So you can just follow along. I'm going to instruct you on tempo and height and just different combination. However, when we're in this position, I want you to think of keeping your shoulder blades on the floor, of course. But also I want you to think of pushing through your heels, not your toes, your heels. When you push through your heels, that's what activates your glutes. So we're gonna push and squeeze at the top, okay? Let's start some music. All right, let's just start with normal glute bridges. Ready? Squeeze through your heels. 2. Keep going. Just getting warmed up. Keep going. Hold it. Knees out. Ready? So we're just pulsing our knees up to the side. Again, ready? Just normal. Push up. No. Up. Let's hold it. Knees. All right, keep squeezing up from here. We're gonna lift our left. Bring it down. We're squeezing at the top. Keep going, squeezing at the top. Don't let those hips drop. From here, we're going to do our swinging bridges. So squeeze your hips to the right, left. You're just squeezing each hip, and there's a slight movement to your hips. And you're staying up the whole time. All right, from here, we're going to do half, then full. So you're going to go half, full, half, forward. Now we're just going to pulse at the top. So stay at that top motion. It's just a small movement, pulsing up top. Awesome. Back to the half full. So you go half full, half. Squeeze at the top. Back to half. Squeeze at the top one more time. All right, ready? Back to normal glute bridges. Up, down. Awesome. Okay, from here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna put your feet together in this frog position. So my knees are up to the side, my heels are pushing into each other. And we're gonna do some glute bridges from here. It's gonna target a little bit different angles of our muscles. Ready? Keep going, push through. All right, from here, we're gonna flip onto our stomach. Same thing, we're gonna push our heels together. From here, we're just gonna squeeze our glutes to lift those lower body, or those lower legs. Ready? So we squeeze, lift. And that movement is coming solely from our glutes. Pushing your heels together. Awesome. Let's stretch it up. So to stretch out our glutes before we go on up, let's cross one knee over our other knee, then grab that bottom leg and pull towards yourself. Switch. All right, grab some water. We're gonna stand on up. Hopefully, pausing the music so you can hear me. Hopefully, your muscles are already, your glute muscles are already on fire. So when we stand up, it's just gonna target them that much more. And that's gonna stop other muscles from taking over in those movements. So again, I'm gonna put this back on, not necessary at all. I'm gonna give you a second and grab some water while I pull up my timer here. All right, so grab some water. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 30 seconds of each exercise. However, we're gonna do, again, 3 sets. So instead of doing like a timed, or instead of counting the number of reps we're doing, we're just gonna do 30 seconds. And then we're gonna go through each exercise, like the set 3 times, okay? So we are going to start on the floor. Let me just pull up my timer. So we're gonna start on the floor. And we're gonna be on our knees, okay? All right, so I'm gonna give you another couple of seconds to get adjusted and then we can get going. Okay, we're gonna start on our knees and we're just gonna do some hip thrusts. So you're here and you're gonna come up and think about squeezing your glutes forward. Your hands are wherever are comfortable. Nice and slow, controlled back down. From here, you're driving your glutes up and forward. Keep going, 10 more seconds. From here, we're gonna go back into those glute bridges for 30 seconds. Ready? Keep going. Sorry, I have my workout plans on my phone, that's why I'm looking. I have the worst memory and I can't remember if I don't do this. Keep squeezing. Five more seconds. Okay, from here, we're gonna go ahead and just do normal squats. So knees slightly out, toes slightly out. We're gonna think of pushing into the floor and out with our toes. As we do this, we wanna think of keeping our upper body nice and straight. Squeeze nice and controlled. Go at your own pace, okay? Whatever you feel comfortable. Five more seconds. Okay, from here, we're gonna do our side step. So we're down here, we're stepping to the side, back and forth. Make sure we're opening those knees as we come side to side. Keep going. And break. From here, we're just gonna hold that squat position. Ready? Killer. And hold it. 30 seconds. Keep breathing. Make sure we're breathing, guys. Five more seconds. Awesome. This next one, we're going to do a lunge with a back leg raise. So we're going to come into this lunge position. We're going to lunge and then lift that back leg. Lunge, lift that back leg. This one's great because you really have to push off on your front leg in order to get that back leg up. Also, that back leg lifting is a workout in itself. Keep breathing. All right, other side, ready? Make sure we're breathing. Whew. Keep breathing. Ooh, take a breather. That one is killer for sure. Okay, this next set, we're just gonna do the standing moves. So we're not gonna do our hip thrusts or our glute bridges. That was one last little isolation to kill them, but instead we're gonna add something. We're gonna add our sumo squats at the beginning, okay? So we're gonna kind of take out the hip thrusts and the glute bridges for the last two and add a sumo squat. Again, this is all in for the purpose that we want to really fire those glutes. A lot of times when people stand up and do exercises that they hope to work their glutes, if they're quad dominant, what that means is their quads are more strong than their glutes, so they kind of take over in the exercise, and those are the ones working and getting the pump instead of the glutes, and we don't want that, right? So, let's go again into our sumo squats. Knees out to the side. When we're doing these, we want to think knees coming back, and we want to think of pelvis tucking forward. You want to be ideally one straight line if you're looking at you from the side. Ready? Squat. Keep breathing. All right, back into our normal squats, my goodness. Make sure we're breathing. All right, ready for our side step? Ready? Knees out. Don't let them cave in. Almost there. If you're exhausted, good. That's what we want, right? 5 more seconds. And break. Okay. Next one, you can bring your feet in a little bit closer to work those glutes. We're going to just hold our squat position. And hold. Weight in our heels for this one. Leaning back with our hips slightly, but chest up. It's kind of like the tabletop. Or the chair, sorry. Same thing, it's for yoga. Almost there. All right, next one is our lunges. Pick a leg to start and let's get into it. Squeezing your glute to keep your balance is pretty tricky. If that balance is too much for you, you can just do either normal legless or normal lunges, okay? But if you want to challenge yourself, squeeze that core to maintain your balance. Okay, other leg. Okay, shake it out. That was our second set, meaning we have one more to go, okay? And then we're going to get into a little bit of abs, and then we get a well-deserved stretch, okay? So grab some water. Whew. All right, you guys ready to go for those sumo squats? The sooner we start it, the sooner it's done. Take a little bit of a breath. Sounds weird, but it's super important to breathe during our exercises and get oxygen to those muscles. Sumo squats. All right, next we're going to go into our normal squats. And start. All right, next, we're going to our side steps. Almost there, you guys, yes. Ready? Keep breathing. Almost there, woo! Okay. Next, we're gonna hold our chair. Let's call it that, or just hold our squat position. Ready? Knees up, leaning back onto your heels. Squeezing your glutes. You don't want to sit in that motion, you want to make sure that you're squeezing your glutes and they're working to keep you up. Say, woo! All right. One more minute of workout. Anybody can do anything for 1 minute. Ready? Squat or lunge. So I don't know if you can tell from this angle, but I'm leaning forward slightly when I lift that back leg. I'm not lifting it a lot. I'm keeping my back straight. The motion's coming from just squeezing my glute, not from my back. Kind of like the same when we're on our hands and knees. Same concept there. Okay, switch it up. Shake it up, grab some water. Oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. Okay, I'm gonna get my ab song ready. Yes, I have a specific ab song. It goes perfect tempo, but you guys get a break, so grab some water. And then I'll go ahead and explain what we're gonna do for this. Okay, so we're gonna start with an ab workout that instead of doing like 30 seconds each, it's gonna be short, but it's gonna be continuous and non-stop. So ponies up, we're ready to go. So with that being said, I do want to walk you through it just a bit before we go so that you kind of have an idea of what's going on and you're not craning your neck to watch me the whole time. So we're on our backs. I want you to think of pressing your belly button into the floor, tucking it into your spine, okay? Our sequence for this is going to be 4 slow, 8 fast. So we're going to start with just normal crunches. We're going to do 4 slow. 1, 2. You get the point. 3, 4, and then 8 fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. From there, we're going to bring our knees up to a 90-degree angle, and we're going to be saying 4 slow, 8 fast. Then we straighten our knees. We're going to reach for our toes. 4 slow, 8 fast. From there, we are going to do our cross-body toe reaches. So, taking my right arm, I'm going to cross to my left side. 4 slow, 8 fast. Then our bicycles. 4 slow, 8 fast. From here, I'm going to cross one leg over, and I'm going to think opposite arm, opposite leg. So we're twisting through our body. 4 slow, 8 fast. Switching. 4 slow, 8 fast. Then we come onto our side. 4 slow, 8 fast. Other side. Crunch through our side obliques. 4 slow, 8 fast. And from there, just follow along. So if you were just like, what did you do? I cannot remember that. That is fine. I don't expect you to. I will be doing it with you, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what we're doing so that, so that you don't have to be kind of looking at me the whole time. I'll be doing it with you to cue up what exercise is next, but this way you know the pattern a little bit, okay? Take a breather. Before we start, let's just check our position. So I want you to think, again, it's a theme in this class, drawing your belly button into your spine and into the floor. So when you just lay here naturally relax for a second, there's going to be a natural curve in your lower back. You can stick your hand under it almost. We don't want that. I want you to think of belly button into spine, then into the floor. And now check. That gap should be gone. And even just sitting like this, my abs are firing. Like it's It's a bit of an ab workout, right? I'm kind of flexing my abs. So you can see how just maintaining this position throughout the whole exercise is going to give your ab workout that much more, okay? So take a second, get used to this position. Make sure you can breathe in it, very important. And let's get going. Ready? 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. I'll face you a bit. Double time. 1. This is our 8 fast. Knees up. Flow. 8 fast. Ready? Knees up. Double time. Cross your body. 4 slow. 8 fast. Let's go. Yes. Woo. Bite. Ready? Slow. 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 8 fast. 2. Cross body. Ready? Fully twist your obliques. Big range of motion, fast. Keep it at this top motion. Getting that opposite shoulder blade off the floor. 4 slow. There's a tag, so we get an extra one. Tag in the music. Double time. Ready? Crunching those side obliques. Double time. Other side. Double time. Ready now, just follow along. We're going to do same side toe taps, keeping those shoulder blades off the floor. You're just kind of pulsing side to side. From here, our knees are going to come together in a frog, and we're going to pulse. Ready? Pulse at that top motion. Switch arms. Again, switch. Next, we're going to get into those lower abs. Ready for some leg lifts? Nice and slow, both at a time. Now 2 at a time, ready? We're going to finish with 8 reverse crunches. So we're going to bring our knees back and up. 8. Squeezing those lower abs. 'Woo! And come onto your bellies to stretch it out. Keep stretching it out and come back into your knees. All right. So with our last 20 minutes of class, perfect. Exactly how much time I wanted. We are going to get into our flexibility portion, our stretch portion, right? So I feel like I don't know how I went this. So in past classes, we've kind of worked on just, stretching it out starting in the morning, but I actually want to start getting into our flexibility a little bit more in this class. So we're going to push ourselves a little bit more, and I really want to increase that range of motion in some of our movements, okay? So before we start, I want to take a minute to talk about active versus passive stretching. So passive stretching is when you're just sitting in a motion. For example, if I'm in my pike and I'm just holding it down here, that's passive. I'm not moving through my motion. If I'm pulsing at the bottom, that's active. I'm working through those muscles. And both have their place. Both are effective in different situations. However, I want to really focus on, I'm going to use a mixture of both, but I really want to focus on introducing active stretching because that's going to be the most effective. So grab some water and then we can get into it. I will play a little bit more music for the stretch portion of our class because we don't have to get as pumped up. We really just have to relax. It's really important that we breathe as we're stretching. So grab some water and let's get to it. I'm really excited. I love stretching. Okay, we'll start with kind of just a little bit of a cool down from our workout, but like I said, we are going to get into more active. So let's just start isolating our, I'm going to lower it just a bit so you guys can make sure that you can hear me as I talk through the motions. Isolating. So we're going to just bring our right ear to our right shoulder and our right arm is going to assist that. Let's do circles with our neck to the left. Other side. To the right. All right, from here we're going to grab our knees. And we're going to think of pulling our knees to bring our chest forward. And look like that. Now you're going to collapse that chest, bringing your shoulders forward. And switch. Just opening our chest, creating some space. We're going to start with our back today. And I want to break it up like that instead of kind of just doing more of a flow to really target it. All right, crossing our right arm over. Really important that when we stretch out our back, we include our shoulders. And switch. Touching your back, you're going to pull your elbow to the back. And switch. Okay, from here, we're going to kind of get into the sides a little bit more. You're going to bring your knees out to a second position. Not focusing on our legs, this is on our back. So we're going to stretch to each side. As we do that, I want you to think of opening your chest to the front. Other side. Elongating through that side. Other side. All right, next we're going to draw circles with our arms to the front. As much range of motion as you can. Other side. Awesome, let's come into our cat-cow. So we want to stack our shoulders on top of our elbows, hips over our knees, and we're going to think of drawing our belly button into the floor. As we bring our tailbone up, let our back come forward and look up. So we're arching. From here, we're going to tuck our chin and reverse it. Really think shoulders into the floor, hips pointing down. And reverse that again. Ready? Keep breathing through these motions, guys.
It's not what a golf club in your car.
No, I picked anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm teaching right now.
I'm telling you.
And reverse. Keep going, guys. Check my car or check the thing. My keys are on the table.
What thing?
My car or check the golf thing. Sorry, guys. And reverse. All right, come here. So all I did is I drew my arm through here. And other side, hold it. I'm just going to change the song. And other side. Okay, from here, we're going to come back into the tabletop position. We're going to take our right arm, cross it over to our left side. As we do that, our right leg crosses over to the left side as well. So it's almost like you're creating like a C with your body. And you're just going to lean into that right side. Keep breathing. And let's switch it out. All right, next we're going to come onto our back. We're going to come into that kind of like our glute bridge position, but we're really focusing on stretching out our chest here. So first thing, let me tilt that down a bit more so you can see. First thing you're going to do is you're going to take your hands and you're going to link them underneath you. So I'm holding each hand and I'm letting my shoulders draw back. Okay, so they're not up here, they're back and down. In fact, my in between my shoulder blades is not touching the floor. From here, you want to think of letting your chest come to your chin, and using your legs, using your glutes, you're going to push up, creating as much of an arch here as you can. We're going to hold it, okay? Breathing.
You'll be here now or still? It's like, I don't have the keys, I'll come back. You know, you can
My keys are in my car. My keys are in my room.
No, no. You leaving?
It's there. No, I'm not.
Okay, I'm back in an hour.
I'll be done in 20 minutes. I'm teaching right now.
Okay, so I'm back in an hour. You're not going
Keep
anywhere.
stretching.
You going anywhere?
No.
Okay, good.
And from here, we're going to target our upper back a little bit more. Okay? So what we're doing is we're letting those knees drop over our head a little bit. This sounds a little bit weird, but let's talk about getting into that position again. So your hands are going to be pushing into the floor. I'm almost coming up to like a candlestick position. So my hips are up, and I'm just going to let them fall down a bit. As much as you can, and this really creates space in between each vertebrae and stretches out your upper back, which is kind of a harder place to target. And you're just going to hold this however you feel comfortable. Coming back down. Okay. Last back stretch. We're going to come onto our stomachs, and we're going to think of having our hands at our shoulders, okay? Keeping a lot of space between our shoulders and ears, we're going to press up. And it's almost creating like a curve in our lower back. Feel that stretch and breathe through it. So right now, the curve is in my lower back. My belly button is off the floor. Now we're going to lower down. We want to keep our belly button on the floor. Now we're going to think of targeting our upper back. So bringing your hands a little bit more forward, instead of thinking of pushing up, you're going to think about pushing back. So almost like my hands are pushing forward to push my upper body back, my belly button's staying on the floor, and my upper back is the one that has the curve in it. I'm just going to stretch it out. All right, let's get into those hips. Done with our back. So we're going to think about opening our hips, almost like a progression for middle splits, if you want to think of it like that. So we're here and we're just pulsing. If you want to think of goals for each of these, you could think bridge for your back stretches, middle splits for when we open our hips, and then front splits for when we get into our hamstrings and lower leg and back of our legs. So from here, we're going to push down on our right hip, our right knee, trying to get it to the floor. And switch. From here, we're going to push on both. Make sure that we're breathing. All right, next you're going to walk your hands as forward as you can, keeping those feet together and those knees pushing to the floor. And stretch it out here. If you want a bit more of a challenge, I like to push down on both knees as I'm still leaning forward. Whew. Okay, from here we're going to go into our pigeon. So maybe I'll come to the side so you can actually see me a bit better. My front leg, you can pick one to start, it's fine, is going to come forward, and you're going to be on the outer side of your leg as this left one comes down. And you're going to try and square your hips, which means they're both pointing to the front wall and sitting over this bent leg. Now I'm going to come to the front so you can see. So you want your hips to both be facing the front, and we're going to come to this pigeon. If you're here and it's comfortable and you want a bit more of a challenge, lean forward onto it. This is really going to open those hips. And let's switch it up. Keep breathing. All right, we have 2 more stretches for this one. Okay, from here we're actually going to come onto our stomach, but you're going to think of first coming onto your knees. So just check your position first. Make sure that your knees are directly under your hips. You don't want to be too much forward or too much back. You want them to be directly under your hips. And slowly you're going to open your knees until you can't anymore, bringing your hips to the floor. And this is really going to prep you for those middle splits. And just breathe here. Try and relax into it. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. All right, last one, we're going to come into a straddle position. And we're gonna start getting into those active exercises I talked about. So you wanna think of, first flex your toes for a second. Now we're gonna think of pointing those toes to the back wall. You don't want those toes to cave in, you wanna make sure that there's aiming to point to the back wall. From here, we're gonna lift each leg and bring it in. Then you're gonna bring it up to the side. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, try and maintain that turn up. 5, other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, from here, maybe just check your position again, flex those toes, make sure they're to the back wall, and you're gonna walk your hands forward as much as you can, and we're just gonna relax here for a couple seconds. Again, it doesn't matter how far you go, if that's it, perfect. Just keep breathing through that motion, guys, okay? Stretch it out. Okay. Next, we're gonna go into our back of our legs, or if you want to think about it as a progression, into our front splits, and we're gonna really work on those active stretches we were talking about. So I'm gonna point my toes to the front, and I'm going to reach for the front wall if I'm facing the front wall. So I'm reaching for the front wall, and here I'm just gonna pulse. You're gonna feel stretches in the backs of those legs, just pulsing forward, reaching. From here, we're gonna flex and do the same. So you're gonna feel you're gonna notice that when you point your toes versus flex your toes, you feel it in a very different part of your legs. You wanna target all of them. Awesome. Coming onto your back, you're gonna bend your right knee and straighten your left. You wanna focus on keeping both hips on the floor, and we're just gonna give kicks up. So you're gonna kick and bring it down. Kick, bring it down. Kick, bring it down. Next time you kick, you're gonna grab it and hold it. Awesome. If you can't grab it here, that's fine, grab it here. It allows you to go a little bit higher. From here, we're gonna bend and stretch. Bend and stretch, getting really active into it. Other leg, switch it up, ready? Grab it. We're gonna bend and stretch. Stretch. Let's see the time. Awesome, we have a little bit more time. One more stretch I want to go through. I'm gonna face you for this one. It's going to be a jazz split. So I'm going to take one leg, and I'm going to bring it to the side bent. And one leg straight front. Cool? All we're gonna do is from here, we're gonna come up, and then we're gonna bring it down towards that straight leg. And up, down. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and hold it down. And let's switch it up. Same thing, ready? 1. now we're just gonna hold it down. Shake it up, guys. Awesome class today. I feel so stretched out. I feel so sore. Thank you guys so much for coming. We are working on putting these videos online. For some reason, we have a little bit of trouble, but I filmed every single one. So this way you guys can go back, or if you miss a class, you can go, and I'll label them body or stretch and strength number 1, stretch and strength number 2. So you'll have the chronological order of them. We're just working on that. I don't know why it's giving us problems, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you coming to class, and hopefully I will see you next week. Awesome job, guys. Bye.